I'm Patrick. I'm a Spartan SGX Level 2 coach, among other things, and I did the Virtual Spartan Ultra yesterday. 31 miles, 60 obstacles or bodyweight exercises, and I wanted to spend a little time talking about my experience with you and to hopefully give you some things that will help you maybe do an Ultra someday or any of the Spartan races. So yesterday, my day started off at 4:30 a.m. and I had my typical breakfast on a day that I'm doing any kind of race. This is usually the breakfast I have, and I'm usually running in one of the earlier races, so I have to wake up pretty early and eat breakfast. So I had oatmeal mixed with 2 scrambled eggs, a tablespoon and a half of extra crunchy peanut butter, a mashed up banana, and just a little bit of honey, and I mix all that up, and it's wonderful. And then I drink a bunch of water. So that's actually what fuels me to do the race. And I think my fuel was right on for this ultra. What I carried with me in my pack is because this is a virtual challenge, I did not prepare a bucket. In a normal ultra, you would do one lap that's a little longer than the first lap, and you would come back to your station and you'd have a bucket with first aid supplies, more food, water, whatever you need, another pair of shoes, socks, and then that's what you would kind of get geared back up and then head back out. And so for the virtual challenge, I decided not to do that. So the way I set up my course is I did a 15.5 mile run out and a 15.5 mile back, and I planned that the night before. And then other gear items I had is I have a hydration pack. This is the system I use. It's called Ultimate Direction. It has 2 flasks that I carry in these pockets. I think they're about 12 ounces, 16 ounces, something like that a piece. And then I have a pack back here for 1 liter of water as well, 1 liter of water. Now my 2 smaller flasks, I actually use this Noon. They're just little, I'll just crack one open so you can see, they're just little dissolvable tablets. They dissolve really quickly. And so I actually prepare those the night before. I drop them in my flask, and they dissolve, and so I've got some electrolytes ready to go too. So yeah, so I just took those 2 flasks, and then I had about a liter of water in my backpack here. And I also carried a bag of peanuts and raisins, and I put a little bit of, just sprinkled a little salt in there as well. And that's all I took, was that amount of water, a little bit of food. And I had my car keys in here, and I did bring my cell phone with me just in case something happened. But there were no water stations, no rest stations, nothing like that. So at 4:30 I had my breakfast. Then I started warming up at 5 a.m. You can check out one of my other videos if you're curious how I warmed up for my challenge. And I actually just do a series of isometrics. So just getting my muscles contracting and fired up and getting ready for the day, is I want my muscles communicating with my central nervous system. I want them firing up, ready to give me stability and ready to go at a moment's notice. And then for this challenge, I'm not really competing. I'm not trying to win a big prize or anything. So I actually just rolled in the rest of my warm-up, my dynamic portion, which just means I'm moving, with my first half mile to mile. And so that first in the actual racing part. So after I did my isometrics, I shot out the door, hit my stopwatch, and I was doing some dynamic movements, just real simple stuff, high knee walking, marching, some different, people call it grapevine or karaoke, where you're kind of going like this with your feet. But again, I'm rolling that into my first half mile of my 31-mile trek. Now what's great is, I again pre-planned this. We have a bike path, so I decided to use the bike path. It's very, usually pretty empty, especially early in the morning, and it happened to be super busy at 9 a.m. onwards with bike traffic and runners, but it's off the road, so that's the best part. There are a couple of areas where you have to cross the road, but it's super quiet. You don't have to deal with vehicles, which was wonderful. Now, another thing I should mention about this, I've attempted 2 other ultras. And of course, I've mentioned in other videos, I'm a death race competitor and a completer, finisher. And what was unique about this one is it was all on blacktop and relatively little change in terrain. I mean, really no change in terrain at all. And so how that impacted my body was peculiar because I'm not this crazy endurance athlete. Although I've done some endurance events. I would say I'm probably an endurance athlete now, but my body's not. It's not. How do I want to say this? It's not that my body's not conducive to doing these types of things, and I am well adapted. But I'm not going to be winning first place in any of these races anytime soon. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But so how my body responds to these different events is I've experienced a number of things. Usually a lot of soreness in my quadriceps and other muscles, my glutes, my hip abductors, even hip adductors. This one being so flat, I have very little soreness today. But on the other hand, my ankles were really kind of bothering me. I had some old ankle injuries back when I was in college. I was actually, doctors, after some x-rays and a series of injuries, they told me I had a lot of osteophytes, which are bone spurs, inside my ankle joints. And that's a long story. I won't go into the details of how I believe those developed. But yeah, some of those old injuries kind of started flaring up. Again, not until like mile 24, 25 or something. Yeah, maybe mile 26. So which isn't bad. But yeah, I mean, that's what I can feel the next day. My muscles actually feel pretty good. But especially my left ankle, I can really feel that. Whereas other ultras I've done, and even the death race, I did not experience that kind of ankle discomfort. Not even close. I just had lots and lots of muscular soreness that took several days to recover from. Whereas this ultra, I mean, my muscles are great. We went out for a walk today. I was totally functional. I just have some, slight discomfort in my left ankle. So yeah, just kind of interesting. And I think that goes to show that whatever race you're preparing for, you need to know what the terrain's going to be like and what you're getting into. What obstacles are there going to be? What's the weather going to be like? And then also what the terrain and even the surfaces you're going to be on, because you want to make sure you're well adapted to that environment and to those surfaces. What else can I tell you about my experience yesterday? Well, yeah, I started it super early. I thought it was a tick. I have a jewel that I just found on my leg. That's one of the joys living with daughters. I totally thought that was a tick, but it's just a jewel that was stuck to my leg. And I think it was the right decision to start super early in the morning. I almost wish I would have started earlier because it got hot yesterday. I did not know it was going to be so hot. I did not wear sunblock. I should have brought a little sunblock with me. My calves ended up getting burned. I usually fully cover my body, long sleeves, long spandex, for multiple reasons. One, it provides protection against the obstacles. So rope climbing, that rope can really cut into your legs. And I decided, since I'm not doing any rope climbing or other obstacles like that, I didn't need that same kind of protection. I wasn't going to be crawling on my hands and knees. So I did wear a long sleeve, a t-shirt, and then my Spartan Ultra penny over the top. And I just wore a pair of short black spandex and my regular green pair of shorts I wear over that. And and I didn't need that stuff for the obstacles because I didn't have any. But sun protection, I didn't connect the dots. The sun protection is so helpful to have all long sleeves and keeping the sun off your skin. So I should have brought a little sunblock. My calves got a little burned. And it's not bad today. It's just slightly uncomfortable. And it really didn't dawn on me or affect me yesterday. Also with clothing, this is just a simple discovery I made yesterday. I usually don't have a problem with chafing between my legs. Around 11, 12, maybe 13 miles, I'll start chafing just a little bit. Did 31 miles, I had zero chafing. And I have a little natural kind of balm. I did put a little bit on there. I don't really think that's what protected me. I actually took my black short spandex and I just hiked them really high up. So, I mean, they're just like sucked in between my legs. And so when my legs were rubbing together as I'm walking, running, hiking, it was the spandex running together. And so that provided an extra layer of protection. And I feel great today. Zero chafing. No chafing with the nipples. I have this brown shirt that I wear. It's made by Under Armour that I've never experienced any chafing. Whereas other similar materials, I don't know what it is, my nipples will chafe a little bit. So I did put a little bit of this balm on my nipples but it still didn't seem to impact me at all. But again, I think that probably has more to do with the shirt. I did run in zero shoes, which I wouldn't typically race an obstacle course in those. I would wear my Innovates because they have the claws in them, the grips, make it real grippy. I was on blacktop, so I just wore my zero shoes. And again, I had zero blisters, no blisters in between my toes, none on the balls of my feet, none on my heels. I wore darn tough socks. I always wear darn tough socks. Now I usually wear the knee highs. I wore the calf high darn tough socks, which were super effective. They performed how I wanted them to perform. I did wear a pair of black gloves. Again, not that I was on obstacles. I really like being bare-handed when I do the obstacles, but I always keep gloves just in case my hands get nicked up, or there might be something I'm gripping where I don't want to damage my hands at all, and I'll wear gloves. But I wore them yesterday just because I was going to be pushing a lot on the blacktop, so I had very thin kind of work gloves. They have kind of a rubber nitrile hand on your palm and fingers, and that provided great protection. So I came away injury-free. Saw some amazing wildlife. I saw a really cool possum with a limp. I saw a solitary, Canadian goose flying through the air, which was very odd. I saw a wild turkey. I ran into some great people along the bike trail I haven't seen in a long time. That was a lot of fun. I have to say, as I was going along, really up until mile, again, probably 24, 25, 26, I felt so pumped up, like, man, I'm going to crush this thing. This is great. And then, man, I just really wanted to lay down and stop. I started getting really tired, and I started, your brain starts kind of working on you. And I started imagining me just sitting in a chair, and I was like, man, it would feel really good to sit in a chair. And that's probably one thing I should have done when I was out there, is I didn't stop at all. Again, it was a 15 and a half miles out, 15 and a half back. And I basically didn't want to give myself a choice to stop. So that's why I planned it that way. But I really wish, looking back, I would have taken some breaks, sat down, even stretched out a little bit, like on the ground, just taken 5 minutes, a load off. I think my ankles and everything would have even felt better. I did do the course a run-walk. So I would do a 10-minute run, then do 2 bodyweight exercises, and I would try to do 2 rounds of those 2 bodyweight exercises. And then I would walk for 10 minutes. And then I would do 2 bodyweight exercises, do 2 rounds of those bodyweight exercises, and then run. And you can see the pattern. I would just go back and forth. And that's how I did it up until about mile 24, 25. And I ended up pretty much walking the rest of the way with slight running here and there. But I totally broke off the pattern. Another thing I wish I would have done is I finished the bodyweight exercises early, because when I would do them in 2 rounds. And I wish I would have just spread it out throughout the race, because the bodyweight exercises were a really nice way to change up I shouldn't say the monotony, because I like running, but just this motion. It's just so repetitive on the ankles, on the knees, on the hips, on the body. And doing those 2 bodyweight exercises is a great way to break that up and kind of giving those joints and muscles a rest and working some different things. So I wish I would have just spread out those bodyweight exercises throughout the whole 31 miles. I think that would have been a lot wiser. I already talked about sunblock, talked about my clothing. Oh yeah, and I always dress in layers no matter what the temperature is. And it was great. As I got hot, I would take different layers off, but if I suddenly dipped into a valley where it got a little cooler, I could put layers back on. I also wear this neck thing that I can put up over my head. I use it to protect my neck from the sun. I could put it, if it was cold, I can take it up above my face. It's super versatile. Talked about my shoes, talked about socks. What else? I don't think there's anything left to tell you. For recovery, again, I walked the last few miles, and that was my cool down. I got home, went through some basic range of motion exercises, and then just rested. And then today I went on a walk with my kids, and I'm feeling great. I've been getting lots of good nutrition in. But yeah, I think my nutrition, my hydration strategy were all good. I wish I would have varied the exercises, or not varied the exercises, but mixed it up throughout the 31 miles. I did it all on the front end. I got all the body weight exercises done in the first 15 and a half miles. But other than that, it was a great experience. That's right, I forgot to tell you this. One of the things that really kept me going is, again, about mile 24, 25, is I just wanted to stop. I started imagining myself stopping. Is I would think about three people. Hugh Glass, made famous in the Revenant movie by Leonardo DiCaprio, which I still haven't seen, but I've heard it's really good. But I read Hugh Glass's biography on Wikipedia, which counts for something. David Brainerd, who I'm reading his diary right now. He's a missionary from the 1700s. And then my brother, William Harner, who served as an Army Ranger for quite a few years with the U.S. Army protecting our country. So all these guys were in these crazy physically strenuous situations, but for very great, honorable, admirable purposes. Hugh Glass for survival. David Brainerd doing God's work. My brother protecting our country. Very noble, honorable tasks. And I don't know, that just kind of made me be more lighthearted about this thing, because doing these races, I mean, it's just fun. It's kind of a luxury in a lot of ways that I get to do these things. And it's just like, oh, this is no big deal at all. Like, who cares if I don't even finish it? Like, nothing's on the line here. And so that kind of kept me moving forward. In a lot of ways, it's just kind of, I mean, aren't all sports like this? Aren't all sports kind of just pointless? But it was fun. I had a lot of time. I spent a lot of time praying for probably some of you who are even listening to this video. So praying for you, connecting with God. I always pray through the Lord's Prayer when I'm out on runs. It's a great way to kind of focus my mind. And I'll take each point and pray through it. And typically when I'm out, I'll highlight one point. So the point I was highlighting, or the part in the prayer, was lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And so that's what I was kind of focused on. So I prayed that for myself, for my wife, my children, my church community, and other people in my life. And that's I love thinking about that. And of course, the other thing, I love thinking about that and doing that. The other thing I was thinking about, of course, was paying attention to my body. So listening to my hips, my knees, my ankles. If anything's off, I just back off. And that's with the running about 26 miles onward. My ankle started talking a little bit, my left side, some old injuries. And so I listened to it and I walked, and I'm recovering, and I'm feeling a little better today, and I'll feel better tomorrow. So hopefully that was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, email me. Again, this is Patrick, Spartan SGX Level 2 coach, among other personal training certifications. And hope that was helpful. Take care. Bye.